Elizabeth Angela Marguerite Beauce-Lyon, the ninth child and youngest daughter of Claude Beauce-Lyon, who later became the 14th Earl of Strathmore and Kinghorn in the Peerage of Scotland, and Cecilia Cavendish Bentinck, was descended from notable figures including British Prime Minister William Cavendish Bentinck, the 3rd Duke of Portland, and Richard Wellesley, the 1st Marquis Wellesley, who served as Governor-General of India. Richard Wellesley was also the elder brother of Arthur Wellesley, the 1st Duke of Wellington, who later became a Prime Minister. Prince Albert, Duke of York, known affectionately as Bertie within the royal family, was the second son of King George V and Queen Mary. Initially, he proposed to Elizabeth in 1921, but she declined, fearing the loss of her personal freedom. Despite this, Albert remained steadfast, and Queen Mary, after meeting Elizabeth, became convinced of her suitability for Bertie. However, she refrained from interfering. Elizabeth, meanwhile, was courted by James Stuart, Albert's equerry, until he left for a more lucrative job in America. In February 1922, Elizabeth was a bridesmaid at Albert's sister's wedding, Princess Mary. Albert proposed again the next month, but was once more rebuffed. Finally, in January 1923, Elizabeth accepted Albert's proposal, despite reservations about royal life. Their marriage, seen as a move towards modernization, took place in April 1923 at Westminster Abbey. Elizabeth, now titled Her Royal Highness the Duchess of York, laid her bouquet at the tomb of the unknown warrior in memory of her brother. They celebrated with a breakfast at Buckingham Palace before honeymooning at Polesden Lacey and then Scotland, where Elizabeth fell ill with whooping cough. Lady Elizabeth Beauce-Lyon received this exquisite jewel from the citizens of London as a wedding gift. It features a pearl and diamond sautoir with 5 rows of pearls set on a fine platinum wire, adorned with 2 flexible diamond side pieces and a diamond triangular end piece, from which a large pearl drop is suspended. Although the complete necklace was rarely seen in public, the Duchess frequently wore the pearl drop on a long pearl chain. This piece was supplied by Carrington and Company. Queen Mary gave her a sunburst diamond brooch pendant as an engagement gift, with the stones arranged to resemble a rising sun, as seen in the picture worn by Lady Elizabeth. Its whereabouts were unknown until 2015, when Anne, Princess Royal, wore her grandmother's diamond sunrise pendant as a brooch at an event in October. One of the most splendid ornaments in Queen Victoria's collection was the diamond fringe brooch. Originally, it was even grander, as seen in an 1870 Winterhalter portrait. The brooch was part of a chain de corsage commissioned from Gerard in 1856, featuring diamonds gifted by Sultan Abdülmecid I of Turkey. The piece was made of diamonds set in silver and gold. After Prince Albert's death, Queen Victoria put the ornament away, deeming it too elaborate for her mourning attire. In 1870, she had it partially dismantled, transforming it into a smaller fringe brooch. The dismantled diamonds likely contributed to the creation of her small diamond crown. Upon Victoria's death, the brooch was bequeathed to her son. King Edward VII, whose wife, Queen Alexandra, wore it until her death in 1925. It then passed to Queen Mary, who gave it to her daughter-in-law, Queen Elizabeth, in 1936. Queen Elizabeth wore it at significant events, including her own coronation and her daughter's in 1953. Queen Elizabeth II inherited the brooch in 2002 and has worn it on various notable occasions, such as a state banquet honoring the President of Turkey in 2011 and the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings in 2014. Lady Elizabeth Beauce-Lyon received several jewels from her mother-in-law, the Queen, as wedding gifts. Among them was a suite of sapphires and diamonds, which included a necklace featuring approximately 30 sapphire clusters surrounded by diamonds and fringes, as well as a matching bracelet. It is believed that the diamond fringes were repurposed from older items the Queen had received as wedding gifts. The suite was likely transformed into a large, fashionable Art Deco sautoir, although the young Duchess of York rarely wore it in public. Despite its significance, the current whereabouts of this piece are unknown. One jewel that remains known is the diamond scroll corsage brooch, which features an oval sapphire at the center and two pendants of different lengths adorned with smaller sapphires. This brooch was frequently worn by Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Additionally, the cluster brooch with an oval facete sapphire was later given to Princess Margaret and is now in the possession of her daughter, Lady Sarah Chatto. Formed in the shape of a scallop shell, entirely pavée set with brilliant diamonds and featuring a single pearl at its center, the brooch suspends 5 diamond pampils ending in pear-cut diamonds. Designed in part by Sir Courtship Thompson and crafted in 1919 in London by the Goldsmiths and Silversmiths Company, Limited, the brooch was given by Sir Courtship to his sister, Winifred. Upon her passing in 1944, the year Sir Courtship was raised to the peerage as Baron Courtship Thompson for philanthropic and public services, Winifred bequeathed the brooch to the Queen Mother as a mark of respect and profound admiration. The brooch, meant to be passed from queen to queen, became a favorite of Queen Elizabeth, who wore it regularly over the decades. The Queen Mother continued to wear the Courtship Thompson scallop shell brooch into her old age, most notably for her 100th birthday celebrations in 2000. It was inherited by Queen Elizabeth II upon the Queen Mother's passing 2 years later. In the last decade of her life, the late Queen Elizabeth II wore the brooch on numerous occasions. The Courtship Thompson scallop shell brooch has now passed to Queen Camilla, who debuted it on the first day of royal ascot last year. Featuring diamonds and large Persian turquoises, the parure includes a tiara, necklace, brooch, and earrings. These pieces were purchased by Queen Mary from Gerard and given as a wedding gift to Lady Elizabeth Beauce-Lyon in 1923. The Duchess of York frequently wore the turquoise parure during the 1920s and 1930s, both as a complete set and as individual pieces. However, the jewels were not seen publicly after her husband ascended to the throne in 1937. In 1951, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, gifted the turquoise parure to her younger daughter, Princess Margaret, for her 21st birthday. Princess Margaret wore the jewels at one of her first public events after her father's death and in some official portraits. The turquoise parure remained one of Princess Margaret's most significant jewels and was worn well into the following decades, although it never achieved the popularity of the Baltimore tiara. The parure was not sold in the famous auction after her death and is reportedly in the possession of her son and daughter-in-law, the Earl and Countess of Snowdon.